guys, welcome to the Christmas edition. We are getting ready to train, so we're training skills today, nice and festive, and we're also going to talk about, does size matter?
So we're going to talk about that today, but first we're going to work on our skills, then we're going to answer the question.
We're doing quite a long warm-up today because when you're training for strength and skill, you want to feel like you're ready to perform at your max.
We're not only practicing skills today, but Cara's going to attempt her very first L-sit handstand using the same dip bar that I learned the L-sit handstand. We do have similar skills to learn. We both have muscle ups and we both have a handstand variation. Let's see how it goes. Nice! Yay! Well done!
So I couldn't quite do the L-sit to handstand. I think I'm lacking a little bit of strength. So I tried a different variation where I'm jumping up and I managed to get that one. So I'm going to work on that regression for now until I build up enough strength to be able to swing and use momentum from the L-sit.
To answer the question, does size matter? It really depends on your goal.
Absolutely. If your goal is to be big, then obviously to you, size is going to matter. Or if your goal is just to be stronger, more powerful, then size doesn't necessarily matter.
So the difference between the strength and hypertrophy training is if your goal is to be strong, you may not gain a lot of weight or build a lot of muscle, and yet you're able to get stronger. Whereas with hypertrophy, you will get stronger, absolutely, but you're working towards building bigger muscles and you will look fuller and you might look stronger, if that makes sense. So strength doesn't mean you need to be big to be strong. When it comes to skills, it's pretty much the same thing. So if you're training for skills, you're not training to pump up a muscle. You're training towards to unlocking that skill. You want to rest longer and be able to do or hit the same amount of reps as you did before as quickly as possible.
If you're training for hypertrophy, then your goal is to be bigger, is to look bigger, not necessarily be stronger. The more muscle you have, the more weight you're going to be able to use as well. But you don't necessarily have to have more muscle to be able to lift that same amount of weight. It just depends on your training style and, again, like Alex said, your goals. For us, our goals are skill-based. We don't necessarily care about getting lots of muscle. For me personally, I don't want to build like lots of muscle, especially on my upper body. I like to have a smaller frame, but still be nice and strong.
There's a good little analogy that I like to use. Let's say your chest has 100 soldiers. Those are the muscle fibers. You may only use 20 of those soldiers. That's your strength level. As you build more strength, you're recruiting more fibers, maybe all 100, to do a movement. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're building muscle. However, if you're training for hypertrophy, those 20 soldiers that you have, you're making them bigger. Instead of trying to get more soldiers, you're just working on the soldiers you have to get them stronger.
The main difference between those two types of training is one, you're trying to recruit all of your muscle fibers and working them all to your max, whereas the other one, you create muscle damage and that's why it grows bigger. Strength training, you should be able to do it 3 to 5 times a week. Not have any of that achiness, that soreness. If you're doing it correctly, that should allow you to train those skills more frequently.
When you first go to the gym and you talk to people, they're going to tell you to go 8 to 12 reps, go to failure, train a muscle once or maybe twice a week, which is not wrong, but that is a hypertrophy method. So a good example would be if I'll tell you to train chest every day, you would be like, oh, but I'm going to be sore. I want you to realize what it means to train for strength and train for hypertrophy. If you just want to get bigger, build more muscle, you will only do same muscle group maybe twice a week. Whereas for strength, just like Cara said, you should be able to train that every single day because you're not going to failure. You're not trying to build muscle, you're trying to master that that movement pattern.
Let's talk about the difference between speed and the tempo.
For example, if I was to build my back, I would pick a lat pull down and I would go slow, I would squeeze, and really trying to focus on the muscle that does the job.
If you wanted to build strength using a pull-up, you're going to aim to pull up as fast as you can, as powerfully as you can, and then slowly lower it back down. Whereas with hypertrophy, you're going to focus on that time under tension. So you'll do it nice and slow so you feel those muscles burning. With skill, you don't want to have that.
You want to have that pump feeling with hypertrophy. You want to avoid that with strength or skill training because it will just hinder your performance. You want to be able to come back to the next set and be just as perfect as the first set or the first rep. Whereas when you train for hypertrophy, you probably see a decline in your performance because you're just getting fatigued. You're trying to avoid that with strength or skill training. And that is something that's really, really important and hard to understand because if your background is hypertrophy style training and then you start training for strength, you don't really know whether you worked hard enough because you're not used to not having the pump, if that makes sense. You kind of seek that pump.
I feel like everyone, that's the style of training that most people understand as well, because bodybuilding is what you see when you go to the gym. Most people are going there to either lose fat or to build muscle because they want to look better, not necessarily build strength. But there is also a place for strength as well. Like we said before, if you want to get strong but you don't want to look bigger, or if you want to focus on skills rather than just building muscle.
And you can do both.
Yeah, exactly. You can do both. I mean, for me, I'm trying to do hypertrophy on my lower body, so build my glutes, my legs, but upper body, I want to stay nice and small, but still get that strength. Yeah, to be able to do the skills that I want to learn.
Let's throw some numbers out there. The 3x5 rule is the best for strength.
Nice and easy.
It's a really, something easy to remember. You pick 3 to 5 exercises, do that for 3 to 5 sets, 3 to 5 reps, rest in between sets for 3 to 5 minutes, do up to 3 to 5 times a week, and no failure at all. Squats, dips, pull-ups, or you can pick skills for muscle up, handstand push-up, maybe deadlift, and you should be able to do this 3 to 5 times a week.
If you still want to build muscle as well, you still want to have a little bit of hypertrophy, you can absolutely add that in to the end of your skill training and strength training sessions. But you don't want to have like a strength and skill session and then do another hypertrophy session afterwards. You just want to pick a few, like maybe 1 or 2 muscles that you're looking to build and add that on maybe 3 times a week. Or you can have a full hypertrophy day. So if you just want to have 1 day a week and just absolutely destroy yourself, then you can do that as well. So it's not one or the other. You can absolutely add them in. So I alternate. I do skills and strength one day, then I'll focus on hypertrophy the next day and do that. So 3 skills a week, 2 hypertrophy, nice long rest day, some cardio in there as well. And it's nice and balanced, and that really works for me.
So Monday, you can work on your muscle up, your handstand and your squat, and maybe you do 1 set, pull-ups to failure or really close to failure to get some pump going in there. Next day, I would rest, but if you can do another strength session. Wednesday, when you come back, you can literally do the same thing, but instead of doing your hypertrophy for pull-ups, you would do hypertrophy for dips. So same method, muscle ups,
just rotate
handstand push-ups and squats or deadlift, and then do 1 set dips to failure. So that's not gonna hinder your performance for the next training day. Whereas if I was to do more hypertrophy, I would come back Wednesday and I would still be sore, and then I wouldn't be able to work on my skills just because I'm still sore.
So you might even need to play around with what works for you and maybe even change it each week. Don't necessarily have to have your training plan 7 days, but like a 7-day week. You can
the body doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand it. Like, just listen to your body, and you feel tired and fatigued, it's okay to skip that session as opposed to
switch it around.
Trying to do a half-assed workout. So answering the question, does size matter?
No, size does not matter. Confirmed here at Gym 22.
Absolutely. So like a recap, if you just want to be strong and you're not caring so much about aesthetics, keep the rep ranges and the sets low, 3 to 5. 3x5 will always work. And then you're going to see some amazing strength gains.
You also want to aim to keep a couple reps in the tank as well. So, about 2 reps shy of form failure. So, you don't want to be using momentum to get that last one up.
Absolutely. The last rep should look exactly the same as your first rep. So if I start a set of 5 for pull-ups, that first rep and the last rep last rep should look exactly the same. Like we said in the beginning, the speed is really important when it comes to strength. Even though you might not seem like you're moving fast, you have to aim to move as fast as you can.
So yeah, size doesn't matter, not necessarily. It's down to the individual and what your preference is. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below, or send us an email, check out our website, check out Gym22 on Instagram as well. We post
Almost every day.
Frequent content on there.
Yeah, trying to post every day.
Yeah, trying to.
If you can. But yeah, hopefully this is really helpful. It really helped me loads to understand the concept between strength and hypertrophy. Because like I said, I just didn't really understand what I'm trying to aim for. When I thought I'm training for strength, I kept going to failure and it just never got me anywhere. But yeah, size does not matter, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.